views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Open BxRx Remote, brought to you from my living workspace, Shari Executive Suite, celebrating Trombida's graduation week. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche every Friday. And here's what's coming up in today's show. Leading things off, we'll find out what's in store for this year's New York City virtual Pride March as we celebrate its 50th anniversary. After that, we'll learn about upcoming performances and virtual events for this year's South Bronx Culture Trail Festival themed Sofrita. Then we'll take a look at some social justice artwork that reflects the times we're living in when we speak to visual artist Watson Mia. Later on in the show, Bobby C brings us an up-to-date with the latest headlines in the world of sports. And lastly, this week's Open Artist Spotlight features the dynamic duo, Fab The Duo, who will perform their single, American Icon, at the end of the show. You don't want to miss. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way, because now we are officially open. Welcome back to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche for the next hour, encouraging you to get social with us online. That is, tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV and like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, follow moi on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. So it is Pride Month, and every year New York City holds its Pride March. But like everything else, due to the pandemic, the actual parade has been canceled. So in celebration of the 50th anniversary of the New York City Pride March, a virtual rally will be held to help advocate, educate, and celebrate an inclusive future without discrimination. Joining us to tell us more, we welcome New York City Pride Communications Director and Heritage of Pride Executive Board Member, Bronx native, Maria Colon. Hi, Maria.
Hello, BronxNet. Thank you for having us. We are very honored, NYC Pride is very honored to certainly have a discussion with the Bronx community and certainly continue our service and our commitment to all who certainly serve and are committed to the Bronx and all the boroughs as well. So thank you for having me today.
Well, we're happy to have you. You know, it's almost like a welcome back home.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Even though we're not technically in Lehman, right? Because it's your alma mater. You know, we represent Lehman as well. So welcome back. And thank you for bringing it to us and our viewers. So let's talk a little bit about just everything that's been on the rise, right? I mean, we've got a lot of inequities and a lot of issues that are being brought into the forefront. Obviously, this has been a battle for quite some years. Let's give a little background on the history of the Pride and where we are now and how it's kind of loans itself to history almost repeating itself.
Absolutely. As I look at what's happening today and certainly what happened before, a lot of the issues certainly resonate in terms of police brutality, injustices, the trans community, the disrespect of the trans community, and obviously the ignoring of the trans community for that matter, and discrimination and harassment across the board. So when we think about NYC Pride, we really have to go back to basics in terms of the modern gay movement. And it certainly started with the Stonewall riots in 1969, which certainly lasted for approximately 4 days, of which Marsha P. Johnson was a catalyst, along with other Black trans women who certainly were very pivotal in that movement and that protest against police brutality and injustices. And so that later led to, a few weeks later led to the Gay Liberation Front forming, and then which later led to, a year later, creating a Christopher Street Gay Liberation Front Day, which has certainly turned into, 50 years later, a march, which we commemorate in so many ways. So as we look certainly at its history, we can't not forget certainly what has brought us here to the table, who brought us here, and for that matter, the issues at hand, which are still prevalent, and unfortunately, things that we continue to fight on the streets as we see it today. And politically, yes, there was an election on Tuesday. I'm sorry, it
Right.
was a political election on Tuesday. And we know that not only is the census and counting ourselves important, and in being engaged in that, but also the election year as well. So voice matters, and it continues to matter in terms of the collective. So the collective has not changed, but we have to make sure that our demands are met. And as Angela Davis said, we have certainly a moment in time to really push this movement forward and make sure that we address the needs and make sure that our youth certainly get the attention that they need in terms of driving and propelling our advocacy in terms of action and actionable items.
Right. So to be clear, right, we're talking about, it's the 51st anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising, and it is the 50th year anniversary for the march's commemoration, right? Just
That is
just for
correct.
clarity, so that everybody understands. And the reason I'm saying that is because you guys are going to have this rally on Friday, rather tonight, later tonight, and then there's going to be the parade on Sunday, and the rally almost could, we could say, loan itself to being that voice of rioting in a different form, right? Because there's a lot of protesting going on, and it's coming from all different angles, and it's just quite frankly unbelievable that we are in this place in the year 2020.
Yes, absolutely. And so, not surprising to me, given the fact that if you've been in New York City, in the South Bronx, in within marginalized communities, you have seen this through experience. And so, and not new to the trans community and others who are certainly continue to fight the fight. What we do need is for change to occur, and for these platforms to really guide us. And in the case of the rally, which is tonight, we do certainly hope to engage on the LGBTQIA plus community,
Mhm.
and really engage in terms of issues and panel discussions which will lend themselves to injustices, immigration, the latest Supreme Court rulings, and what do we do next? How do we go forward? Not only in terms of addressing within our community the discrimination, but outside of it, in terms of leveraging who we are and making sure that we do plan ahead, and we make sure that it's not a compromise no any longer, but it's more so creating change, a change that we can visibly see and we can certainly engage in.
And that's being hosted by trans journalist Ashley Marie Preston and trans actor Brian Michael Smith, right?
That is correct. That is correct. And so, in terms of going forward, I think we're really excited about the lineup, and we're really excited about the offerings, but we understand that it's beyond that, right? It's
Right,
beyond just putting it on paper, because we understand that the gravity, the enormity of the situation, and we
right.
understand that as we do celebrate and we do commemorate history, there is an urgency and agency in terms of making sure that our community voices are heard, and that we address the issues at hand, and that there are things that do change in our society.
Right. And that everybody's activated to make sure they go out and vote. So before we go, let's just share really quickly the details of this year's Pride Parade.
Okay, so the march is on Sunday,
Right.
and
I
it's
should say the March, right? Because it's virtual. I'm like,
so we've gone to virtual as though we had a big year last year. We want to continue to build upon it. But the march is dedicated, obviously, to the originators, to certainly the history of Pride, and why we march. We march because it's important. And amidst COVID, the social upheavals, and the political climate, we understand that it is an important time for us. So the march is on Sunday, and we hope that today, tomorrow and Sunday, you certainly get involved in Let's Cheer, which will happen at 1 o'clock. And we are asking for all community members and all LGBTQIA plus allies and friends and brothers and sisters to come out for 5 minutes at 1 o'clock each day, to basically voice certainly their commemoration and voice their positive energies towards celebrating the Pride weekend. Sunday again is the march, and ABC will be hosting it starting at 12. And you can certainly watch it through YouTube, Facebook, or Channel 7. ABC has been gracious enough to partner with us for the third year. And we know that this year, like any other year, is important, but we know the urgency of the matter. And we understand that Pride, we celebrate Pride. We certainly have more to go, and our involvement in terms of community builds strength, is strength in numbers. So our commitment remains, and our celebrations certainly are worthwhile. So happy Pride Week, happy Pride Month, and certainly our love to all. And we hope that we're celebrating certainly together.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you so much for being with us. Maria Colon, happy Pride to you. And once again, you guys, the 2020 virtual Pride rally is taking place today, Friday, June 26th, from 5 to 8 p.m. The rally can be streamed via Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook at NYC Pride. And you can also check out the NYC Pride March on ABC. That's happening on Sunday, YouTube, FB, and NYC Pride. That's happening from 12 to 2 p.m. All right, we got to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to learn about the South Bronx Culture Trail Festival, performances, and virtual events. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back to Open. So since 2011, Casita Maria Center for Arts and Education has held the South Bronx Culture Trail Festival, an event filled with arts, culture, entertainment, and education. And this year's virtual festival theme is Sofrito, in honor of the flavorful traditions that connects artistic practices and cultural expression to our BX history. Joining us to tell us more, we welcome Casita Maria Director of Creative Arts Program, Gail Heidel, and world-renowned artist, Nicolas Dumit Esteves. Hola, and welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Rhina.
Well, thank you. Hola, Nicolas. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. ¿Y tú, Rhina? It's a pleasure.
We are fabulous. As fabulous as we can be. I'm happy to be seeing beautiful faces after this, stay-at-home order that is finally gradually being lifted. But I will say it's been quite a phenomenal watching this actual trail take its course converting into a virtual execution. So congratulations on that, Gail.
Oh, thank you very much.
So let's talk about this year's Culture Trail and the theme, Sofrito.
Okay, well, I was thinking about how it is, you know, the spice base or foundation for Latin American and Spanish cooking. And I wanted to use this theme, you know, as a metaphor and how it connects artistic practice and cultural expression to history. And how with a strong foundation, it allows space for improvisation, genre bending, and of course, collaboration, which is so important to community.
And so, speaking of collaboration, Nicolas, since we have you on, you've done quite a few collaborations, not only with artists but with institutions. You've collaborated with Casita Maria on this new project that we just witnessed and experienced. That is drumming with and for Benny. Let's talk a little bit about that project that you've been working on.
Thank you, Rhina, for having me here. That's true. I have collaborated with different organizations in the Bronx and abroad, and Casita Maria has been one of them. So it's really great to be back home with performing the Bronx and with drumming with and for Benny, which is part of this wider project experience that I've been calling Performing the Bronx, and that started in 2015. And that has included partnerships and collaborations with Arthur Avilés, Milly Bonilla, Danilo LaChapelle, who's no longer here with us and who is greatly missed. La Bruja, Caridad de la Luz, La Bruja. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody else. Bill Aguado, of course. And this time is with Benny Bonilla. So this is more of an homage. It's an homage to him and a celebration for his gifts to our borough.
And so the premise of this collaboration for you as an artist, as the person who's spearheading and is working as the artistic director, like, what is your goal in archiving all of everyone's stories?
That's a really good question. And I do have to say that I don't see this chapter with Benny so much. It is a collaboration and it is a partnership, and there's this sense of communication and learning from and learning with. At the same time, when I did, or when I staged Performing the Bronx with, let's say, Arthur Avilés, we danced around one block in Hunts Point. When I worked with Milly Bonilla, we went out protesting. When I worked with Wanda Salaman, we made signs and went out protesting again. And this chapter related to Benny, I see it more as an homage. At the same time, it's a way of gaining wisdom from one of our elders. And it is, generally speaking, it is an archival project in the sense that it records stories related to the Bronx and its peoples who are at risk of being forgotten, dismissed, or faced by time or by the changes that our neighborhoods are undergoing.
Right. And so, Gail, this leads me to this execution of making sure that the trail still proceeded and followed through in this new format, which was explorational and quite fascinating. Myself being involved in how the capturing and the communication and even like what you did, Nicolas, is like everybody was captured in different locations and somehow we were able to piece it together. And this is for the entire trail as an entire festival. It feel kind of like we're all together in spite of being in different locations.
Yeah, definitely. You know, having to pivot, you know, we waited until, you know, the beginning of May to make a decision about whether we were going to cancel or postpone. And what we decided, because we feel like this festival is so important for the community, that we decided to transition everything into a virtual festival. So we either pre-recorded videos and then premiered them as watch parties like we did with Drumming with and for Benny, or we rescheduled scheduled and had, live virtual performances like we have coming up with the Cover Girls on Saturday. So it's been a great journey, and especially, being able to stay connected when we're all, working remotely from our homes, and be able to connect through all these new technologies that we have available to us.
And so thank you, Nicolas. Before we go, just share what that whole experience was for you, because I have to be honest with you, watching the film, it was very touching and very moving. And the fact that, yes, it's this legend that we all adore, Benny Bonilla, it's also the time period in which you captured this that really sits even harder. Like it just resonated a lot deeper based on what it took to even get it done.
That's correct, Rina, and I'm so grateful to Casita Maria, to you, to Argenis Apolinario, to Jeff Jones, and of course to Benny Bonilla and to Priscilla Bonilla, his wife, for their great love, for what they do for the borough, and for agreeing to be part of this experience, which happened in different locations. And if when you watch the video, you get a little bit of sense of that. And we did state at the beginning of the video that this was filmed during the pandemic. But at the same time, the editor worked this so well that you get a sense of flow. So
Right.
in that sense, the pandemic did not interrupt the video; it informed it in some ways. So I'm really, and I might be diverging a little bit. I'm really amazed by all the love that radiates from Benny Bonilla, and his wife. He's such an amazing person, and I'm so grateful to have been learning from him.
Well, thank you. And thank you both for being here with us. And thank you, Gail, for forging forward and making sure that the South Bronx Culture Trail was not disrupted. And I just want to say to everyone, for more on the last couple of performances the virtual South Bronx Culture Trail has, there's going to be Bombayo and DJ De La Ceiba happening tonight, Brenda K. Star, and the Cover Girls. And if you want to watch it, all you got to do is go to Casita Maria BX on FB to watch it live. All right, we got to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll speak to visual artist who's drafting up some social justice artwork. Don't go anywhere. So our next guest is a proud Haitian American artist whose artwork evokes perspective on social justice issues and freedom in America. his most notable piece is My Brother's Keeper, which depicts Martin Luther King Jr. hushing Donald Trump. And it went viral and has been featured in publications such as the Washington Post, NPR, and Nylon. And that's just to name a few. And he's here to tell us some more. Please welcome Watson Meader. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Pronounced it perfectly.
Right. That is the French name, huh?
Yeah, oui.
Well, Senor, thank you for finding the time to be with us, and congratulations on this this acknowledgement with this piece. I mean, I gotta say though, all of your pieces speak volume. So we can talk about that one first and what that was for you to see it like mobilized the way it did.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely a powerful statement. So let's talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, My Brother's Keeper, I actually created it back in 2017 after the Trump elections. I was contacted by, I forget the name of the director, but he directed Black Panther. Well, I can't believe I forgot his name, but his assistant actually contacted me because they have something that they have on MLK Day in Harlem called MLK Now. And they wanted me to do a piece, just talking about the times and Martin Luther King. So, I mean, the atmosphere of the nation during that time was heavily, everyone was thinking about the election. And you had the inauguration actually a week after MLK Day. So the vision that I got in my mind was to create a piece that, depicted Martin Luther King and Trump. And, the result is what you currently are seeing. I actually submitted the piece. They actually didn't use it. So on the day of Martin Luther King's birthday, I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to throw it out there. And, and ever since, like, my life has kind of been different ever since that day. So
I bet, because unfortunately, it's still relevant. Unfortunately,
yeah.
I mean, fortunate for you for your insight, right? Because the style in which you draw is as if though you are conversing from a really profound place. One of my favorite images that was submitted is the image of the mother with her child and the eviction notice, because it depicts this day and age, and the Starbucks and the Whole Foods standing right next to them, which of course represents gentrification, but yet, now our own community is being displaced.
Exactly.
That to me is like really a powerful statement without even having to have a conversation. It's there in your face. It's visible. That's one of many. Oh my gosh, they're calling me in the middle of our interview. Excuse me 1 second.
No, you're fine.
And so back to the conversation.
Yep.
What is it that you draw from in the style of message? Obviously, you're raising that social consciousness, but you are coming from this angle of using deities indirectly. I mean, I'm going to assume that comes from your ancestry, and then where is it that it fits now, right? Because you're taking the past and you're bringing it into the future in your artwork.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, as of late, I'll be honest with you. As of late, that's kind of been the pocket that I've been in terms of just just researching history, researching my own ancestry. I mean, even beyond Haiti, when it comes to Haitians, we know a lot about the Haitian Revolution and things that have been happening within the past 200 years. But something in my spirit told me to go even deeper, into your history. So as I started to do this, I started to learn about the different spiritual systems. That people that came from the places that my ancestors came from, Africa. So I've just been doing my research in those things and kind of applying what I've been learning within my research, applying that to, current events, things that are happening right now. As we all know, there's a lot happening right now. So, I mean, a lot of the visions that I have been receiving have been, they've been aligned with, what I've been learning through the, the historical research that I've been doing, and just what's been going on every single day. There's something new. So what's been going on in the world, just kind of incorporating those two and trying to speak to people through those images that I create.
So these images that you have been creating during this particular time period, have you been commissioned to exhibit? Because I know for a fact that anything that's being designed and captured and created during this particular time is really going to hold a different level of value in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely live in some unprecedented times, which seems to be the key word of right now. So I definitely, honestly, as soon as it happened, like I speak in visions and all that stuff, but as soon as the quarantine happened, something told me that, this is a chapter in history that will always be looked back at. And something told me that when they look back and they want to, in thousands of years from now, when they look back and they want to understand what happened during this time, they're going to look at the art, not only the visual art, but they're going to look at what were people writing, what kind of pictures was taken, what kind of music was out. Like that's how they understand basically what happened during this period. So through that vision, I was definitely inspired to pay attention to what's going on, trust the visions that I receive, and just create art based off of that without fear.
Well, based on what I've experienced in your artwork, you definitely have already in the fight against systemic racism. But what I do appreciate about everything that I've experienced in your work is the empowerment that you hold within the kings and queens, even in an urban environment. I love that.
Exactly. I mean, because at the end of the day, I just truly believe that we've been taking. It's kind of like I was listening to Nina Simone. I got her shirt on, which is funny. I listened to Nina Simone.
My favorite artist. Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I was listening to Baltimore last night, and in the beginning of the song, she says a seagull standing on a marble stand or something, looking all beat up, looking for the ocean. And it's kind of like, I kind of feel like that was like a metaphor for currently what African Americans, anyone from any African descent is going through right now in America, where we're in this space where we don't really belong, and we unconsciously we're looking for symbols of looking for images to go back home to. So I don't know.
Actually, we're in the state of basically demanding our right to validate ourselves without looking for validation outside of ourselves.
That's true. That's true.
And I say that because I identify as Afro-Latina, so it's nice. For me, black and brown people, because we're
all family at the end of the day. We're all family.
Yeah, so I do appreciate you for sharing your words with us here and our viewers. Do you want to share anything with our viewers before we go regarding your work? I mean, is your work for sale, by the way?
Did I work for who?
Is your work for sale? Oh,
yes, definitely. I recently just reopened my site. It's artofmere.com, ARTOFMERE.com. I have selected pieces on there for sale. You can check out my Instagram. It's artofmere_. Basically everything that I've been doing since 2015 when I really started putting my art out is on there. So yeah, I definitely have art for sale, and any other business inquiries, you can just contact me through there.
All right. Well, we thank you. And I thank you for acknowledging women. And I especially thank you for acknowledging the reflection of the mirror.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. All right. Thanks for being here with us. Thank you so much. You guys, for more on Watson Mere and his work, you can visit Watson Mere. That's MERE.com. And make sure to visit him on Instagram and Twitter at artofmere_. All right, don't go anywhere. Bobby C's Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.
Protesters and activists calling for justice and police reform, there's been a new topic at the forefront of the conversation: defunding police departments all over the United States. Justice! Now! Activists across the country are calling for police organizations to be defunded following the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. The growing movement sets out to reallocate funds from police departments and invest them into Black communities, addressing systemic issues. Congressmember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is amongst those publicly speaking out in support of the concept and compares defunding the police to a suburb, stating affluent white communities already live in a world where they choose to fund youth, health, housing, etc. more than they fund police. Cortez took to social media to further speak on the issue.
You have an entire city budget, and half of that budget goes to policing, and a shred to education, a shred to mental health services, a crumb for hospitals. That is mirrored on the federal level. I mean, when we put more money in that than we put into nurses, and we put into counselors, and when we put into schools and teachers, we have a problem.
In a press conference, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo disagreed with the idea of defunding the police. However, he promoted police reform with the New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaboration, an initiative that includes community engagement towards a better police force.
We need systemic reform. Let's do it. Let's design the new police force. What do you want the police department to be in New York City?
The governor is now asking New York State police agencies to take part in this collaborative effort and states police forces must adopt a plan by April 1st, 2021 to be eligible for future state funding. Reporting for BronxNet, Kibin Aline.
Baseball is back. Major League Baseball issues a 60-game schedule that will start in empty ballparks as the sport tries to push ahead amid the coronavirus. A dramatically altered season with games full of new rules is the final result of failed financial negotiations between the union and Major League Baseball. But for fans eager to see baseball again this year, opening day is on the way and spring training begins here in New York City on July 1st. The announcement comes while more players continue to test positive for the virus, something that has been an issue in the National Hockey League and even college football too. We caught up with Baseball Hall of Famer John Smoltz, who is gearing up to play in the American Golf Century Tournament, for his perspective on the state of the game.
Look, this is unprecedented time. This is not a normal situation to just have a labor dispute. This is trying to figure out how do we have a baseball season in one of the most confusing, fear-paralyzing times of our life. And I think that's difficult in and of itself. So I don't think it would be fair for me I just don't know enough of what's going on to levy that kind of teeter-totter blame. Until you're in that room, it's hard to speak to what's going on unless you're in that room, hearing and sharing information that a lot of other people won't get.
NASCAR stands by its decision to alert federal authorities to a rope that resembled a noose found in Bubba Wallace's garage stall at Talladega Superspeedway, even after the investigation determined that it had been there since at least last October. The FBI says nobody could have known that Wallace would be assigned to that same stall. NASCAR says it is a lone garage with a pull-down rope that resembles a noose. Wallace is the only black driver at NASCAR's top level and has become a leading activist in the sport during a push for racial equality. He has worn an I Can't Breathe shirt, had a Black Lives Matter paint scheme on his car, and has successfully pushed NASCAR to ban Confederate flags at tracks. Here's more from NASCAR President Steve Phelps.
For us at NASCAR, this is the best result we could hope for. This is disturbing to hear that it was thought that one of our own had committed this heinous act. It is fantastic to hear from the FBI definitively that there was not a hate crime. It was important for us to do. There is no place in our sport for this type of racism or hatred. It's not part of who we are as a sport.
Ryan Blaney held on to the lead after a restart with 2 laps to go Monday afternoon, earning his second straight win at Talladega Superspeedway on a day that began with NASCAR drivers throwing their support behind Wallace.
The start of the day, all the drivers on pit road pushing Bubba's car and showing their support. It was just an honor to be a part of that. Not only the drivers too, but the crew members and the fans that were in attendance as well. NASCAR, that's something that I think everyone will remember for a long time, and it showed how much we support not only Darrell. That was the main reason we were doing it, just to support Darrell, but everybody that's been impressed, not only the past few weeks, but for a long time.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Red Farmer headline the NASCAR Hall of Fame class of 2021. Earnhardt Jr. headlines the 12th Hall of Fame class in NASCAR history, joining his late father Dale Earnhardt in the sport's eternal glory. His impressive resume includes 2 Daytona 500 victories. We caught up with Dale Jr. on the honor.
Yeah, I was, when the list of nominees came out a while back, I was so honored to be on that sheet. I'll be honest with you. Looking at the names on there, Harry Gant, Neil Bonnet, and a bunch of other guys, Stefanik, Red Farmer, I couldn't believe my name was on that sheet, to be honest with you. And I know those guys and their body of work, and not just the Cup experience and the Cup wins, for example, Harry Gant. I know what they did to get to the Cup level, the wins in the Sportsman Series at the short tracks, all under a NASCAR banner. It's such an honor, and I'm now looking forward to whatever that experience is. I have no idea what this experience is like to leading up to the ceremony and so forth. And even going through the ceremony is going to be so much fun.
As for the Pioneer ballot, Alabama Gang founding member Red Farmer received 71% of the votes. He continues to race as he approaches age 90. Farmer collected 3 straight championships in NASCAR's late model sportsman division from 1969 to 1971 after winning the modified title in 1956. Most of his accolades were not really documented, but it's estimated that he has north of 700 wins.
Could you please tell us what it felt like when you learned you would be joining the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
Well, I kind of had to catch my breath there for a minute. I didn't know whether I'd ever make it into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. This is the biggest honor I guess you'll ever get. I've been in NASCAR for a long time, and I got to run against a lot of the great drivers. I got the Pioneer Award, and that's being a pioneer. I'm proud of the pioneers, to be honest. But I'm glad they came up with this pioneer a bunch, but because most of the people that put you in the Hall of Fame wasn't even born when I was racing.
IndyCar also got back to business in Texas this month. Scott Dixon, the 5-time IndyCar champion, took the checkered flag at dusk for his 4th win at the High Bank Oval.
Actually, the whole day was good. The car rolled off really well. I know we'd been working, extremely hard on just trying to fix some of the issues we had last year. We had some new people, plus a ton of coming back over from the GT program. So the engineering depth and everything got a lot stronger. So development was good through the winter, and the team gave me an amazing car, and it was a fun night for us on the number 9, and it's great to be back in the car after such a long break, and to do it like that.
IndyCar will race in Indianapolis without fans on July 4th weekend as part of a doubleheader with NASCAR, but will welcome fans in Iowa in mid-July. The series remains hopeful to have fans back in Indy for the 500 in late August. The most watched sporting event of the week was the Belmont Stakes, where New York-bred Tiz the Law won the spectatorless horse race, the first major live sporting event in the Big Apple since the outbreak. Tiz the Law will now shoot for the Triple Crown out of order, since the Belmont was the first race of the rescheduled 3 events.
I've always wanted to win the Belmont. I've never have, and have won the other 2 legs of the Triple Crown, so it was nice to get that in there. I don't know how they'll treat it, since it's a different distance. Maybe they'll treat it differently, but as long as it's a grade 1, why, we're happy.
U.S. Open tennis is also returning to the Big Apple. No fans, no media. Here's the announcement.
The 2020 U.S. Open will be played on its regularly scheduled date here at the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center, right here in New York City. In this tough and trying year, that is not just good news, it's remarkable news. Playing the Open will once again shine a spotlight on tennis and get people excited about playing our safe and healthy sport for themselves.
In NFL news, Jet star Jamal Adams wants out. He formally asks for a trade as he attempts to leverage his status as one of the NFL's best safeties into a market-setting extension. The Jets are aware that he is a special do-it-all force, but they have plenty of time to at least reach a truce or potentially hammer out a new deal before the preseason begins. The 24-year-old Adams is under contract for 2 more seasons with the franchise tag looming as an option to keep him around for 3. One thing is certain, the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, and now Major League Baseball look ready to move forward amid the pandemic. Slowly and surely, we are working our way back. That's your sports. I'm Bobby C.
Welcome back to Open. So our last guest is a dynamic gay pop duo who calls themselves the modern day Sonny and Cher, even though they both represent Cher. Their music challenges the status quo of today's cultural scene and delivers an open-minded message. And they also are boyfriends. Hello. And the beauty of it is that they embrace their personalities and true identities through their music. So without further ado, please welcome the Fab The Duo, Greg and Brendan. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
We are doing Fab, right? I should say.
Yes. Right.
Whatever. So you two are fabulosity. So the title suits you. OMG. I mean, you're both stunning to look at. I love the fact that you're a biracial couple. And I just love that you guys are really addressing social issues within your music. So let's talk about how long you've been together.
Yeah. So together in our relationship, we've been together for almost 3 years now. And then Fab has started
two years ago. We just celebrated our 2-year Fabiversary. We had our first show together pretty much exactly 2 years ago, and we came out with our first single almost exactly a year ago, and now we just released our new EP.
Yeah.
So June's a very exciting month.
How did you guys decide, right? You were in a relationship first. So how did you decide to, because it's a little challenging to be in a personal relationship and then have a working relationship.
Totally. Yeah. So it honestly happened accidentally on purpose kind of thing. So we originally started off as just Greg and Brendan, and we were more cabaret theater-esque. And it was inspired by seeing some people we know do a cabaret, and we're like, oh man, we could do that better. And then
we were kind of shocked. Yeah. People just really enjoyed it, and we kept doing a few cabarets, and then we started writing songs together, and then we kind of just became a band.
Yeah. And then it just turned into this.
Well, it's lovely what it's turned into. I mean, you
Thank
guys,
you.
you also look like runway models. I mean, I saw one of your videos.
Ooh,
The Resistance song that I
Our
think
love
is
is
so
resistance.
appropriate for this weekend as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we
yes.
didn't even mean to have it come out this week. It was going to come out in April, and then coronavirus and everything. And then we decided that during Pride, it was a perfect time to have it come out, especially honoring what happened at Stonewall.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the thing. That's the thing, right? There's a lot of uprising that's occurring within just raising people's social consciousness, right? And being boisterous. And everybody's contributing in their respective fields. And both of you are doing it through song and through your relationship as well.
Yeah. Honestly, one thing I think we are realizing the power of more than anything is the fact that I am Black and he is white, and that we are together. And I think without us even speaking, we make a statement. We're very proud of it, and we don't take it lightly.
That's what our song, Our Love is Resistance, is about. Basically, just the fact that we're publicly gay and biracial right now in such fraught times, I think in itself is a statement, and just being out and proud about it. And also I like what you said about using music for activism, because there's so many different ways that you can make a statement and make a difference. And as artists, that's our channel of doing that.
And so being in New York, right, and being two gay men, biracial, in a relationship, what has that, how has it served other people? Because for me, it is a really big statement, and it's a lovely one, because it definitely represents that, love is love, and it's love.
Yeah.
And that's all there is.
Yeah. Honestly, weirdly enough, we have not gotten a lot of hate back towards us. And I think the reason why that is that at our core is not gay, at our core is love. And, if you have a problem with love, then I guess you'd have a problem with us. But it's really interesting at shows, like we have a lot of straight men come up to us and say, oh my God, your outfits are incredible. Your voices are incredible. I love y'all. I'm a huge fan. And that was not what we intended our clientele to be, but it just is. We have to give them credit. Like, the world is slowly but surely changing. And
also what's been so cool is that not only in New York, but across the world, what really kind of breaks my heart is when we get all these messages from people all over the world, some places where it's illegal to be gay, and
or death sentence,
or literally like you could go to jail or executed for being gay, and they message us and they say, just seeing you guys out there doing your thing is so inspiring and gives me hope. So, in New York, in like a pretty progressive place for the most part, you can kind of take for granted a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a matter of choice too, right? And so, meaning like we chose to be in America, mostly. Practically everybody has the ability to come to America. I mean, staying is another thing based on our current circumstances.
Yeah.
But this is all alluding into the next thing, which is you guys just giving us a quick, brief introduction about the song that you're going to be presenting, American Icon, which is going to close out our show today.
Yeah. So American Icon is our first single, and it's all about embracing the things that make you different. And as soon as you do that, you become an icon in your own way.
Beautiful. I love it. I love that it's all about love, and that we can all be icons in our own minds, right? Every single state of mind. All right.
Exactly.
So you guys, let me just tell everybody, because I know I'm getting them excited. I'm excited. We have to take a quick break, but then when we come back, Fab The Duo, they're going to perform American Icon for us. So don't go anywhere. back. It's now time for this week's Open Artist Spotlight. Here now to perform American Icon, please welcome Fab The Duo.
Not even 17, and he's starting a new world vision. He's got no fear, he's got no shame. Wish I was like that at his age. They call him Mr. Athena, because there's finally a boy who can listen. He put on his heels and he's not afraid to be himself in any way. Don't stop him, he's different. He's an American icon, even if you don't know it. You're gonna get a big surprise when he comes alive. It was a quickie. Yeah, you can put any Regina to shame. He's got a whole army of demons. Everybody knew his name, but he wanted more, wanted more. He wasn't just a boy next door. He had dreams so big and make the whole earth shake, and nothing ever be the same. Yeah, don't stop now, he's different. He's an American icon, even if you don't know it. You're gonna get surprise when he comes alive. He's an American icon. American icon. He's an American icon. You can't stop him. Yeah. Don't stop him. He's different. He's an American icon. Even if you don't know it, you're gonna get a big surprise when he comes alive. He's an American icon. American icon. He's an icon. Ooh, we are American icons. You are American icon. You can't stop us.
And there you have it. For more information on Fab The Duo and their music, follow them at Fab The Duo on Instagram. That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through, and to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out the recablecast tonight and 24 hours a day at bronxnet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide peace, prosperity, and love. Happy Pride!